Hi, and welcome to the SEO podcast, Unknown Secrets of Internet Marketing. My name is Chris Burris, one of the owners here at eWeb Results, EWR Digital. What are you changing it to now?
Yeah, my name is Matt Bertram, one of the owners here at EWR Digital. It's going to be official when we launch the website, which is going to be at the end of this month. So we could launch it right now. We're just kind of polishing it, but it should be up by the end of this month. So I'm pretty excited.
Hey Matt, so you're just going to leave the green screen's just going to be like that for the whole show? Is that?
Yeah, Chris, I'm working from home and I got some internet issues, so I'm on my phone.
Technical.
And,
okay. So for all of those people who are out on YouTube, first, subscribe and follow. And then second, I would like you to imagine that green that is behind Matt is actually the Starship Enterprise, the bridge of the Starship Enterprise. And he probably has the best view of anyone of all of us because he's on the bridge of the Starship Enterprise.
Well, when I was meeting with clients, that's what I'm typically on, right? People have this corner office, glass, like ocean view. And I'm just like, no, man, I'm up in the clouds right now, like in space, like bringing SEO rain coming down.
So you do realize people who appreciate the Starship Enterprise at a really core level would object to there being clouds in space.
No, I'm above the clouds. I'm above the clouds.
You're looking down at the clouds.
If you need to get beamed up, hit me up, and I can get you pretty quickly anywhere around the world. I like your background, your little office, your little teleprompter action. Just so you know, Chris has a teleprompter. So
if he sounds fluid, it's probably because he's reading it, a script that he's been working on all week.
Exactly. So there you go. That's my green screen story for you.
Matt and I, in this podcast, we are broadcasting live from Houston, Texas. And Matt and I, we are your results rebels. Normally we would throw in a testimonial right here. We kind of decided we were going to call it a team member testimonial, but for me, it was so much more than that. We had our typical all hands meeting this morning. And in that all hands meeting, one of our team members shared with how they had helped one of our customers pivot in these unbelievably challenging times, right? The highest unemployment in history. People don't know what's going on. It's crazy. It's bizarre. And she helped Alyssa, patif to Alyssa, she helped one of our clients pivot from what they were currently doing, took a product from one of our other clients, folded it into that one client. And anyway, Matt, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we have a lot of different kind of coordination going on with inside the eWeb family where we're trying to connect businesses that could potentially work with each other. We have a cleaning company that we work with that got their hours reduced with all clients across the board because people aren't going into buildings, going into schools, and introduced them from another client with the cleaning product. Then we had a window cleaner, that also everything stopped from pressure washing window cleaning, pivoting to something that's EPA compliant to actually sell in some sprayers. And really we're just looking how we can add value among clients and come up with some creative ideas. Actually we're bringing on a new client that has another EPA chemical that's a whole different arena. It actually cleans it kills COVID in a second, and it's for big tanker ships and stuff. They're a big commercial company. And they have these gallons of it. They're not selling any of it online. And now we're going to be working with them to help get the word out about that, sell them, got a mask company. It's really quite interesting. But a lot of these companies have overlaying businesses that could help each other, thinking a little outside the box of kind of new products or new markets, how we can make that shift, connect that relationship,
get a little
and just
closer to your mic.
add more value. Yeah. And so that was a long-winded answer. Sorry about that. But
no, that's good. Get a little closer to your mic.
They're in I got earphones, Chris.
That's interesting because when you lean forward, they actually, the sound goes up. So cool. Or maybe it's using your phone. I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I will talk louder.
how cool is it though? For me, I just couldn't be more proud. Like, we're figuring out the pivots that we need to make for eWeb and for my other businesses. And then here's eWeb delivering so much value in this really trying time. I really just couldn't be prouder of our team. So I wanted to share that. And like I said, patif to Alyssa, just phenomenal job. And the whole team.
And I can tell you that that pivot happened so quickly, because she knows kind of, you know, who our clients are, and said, hey, they got a disinfectant. They need something like a new product to sell. Let me connect there. And then, hey, the, you know, client, like we have a pressure washer client too, you know, hey, like my business has stopped basically, right?
Yep.
How do you get something moving again? Window cleaner, same way. And then it's like, hey, how about this? Because that's what everybody needs. There's demand in the market. And then boom, you know, smart business owners making the pivots, opening up to new opportunities. And I think one of the clients is actually making more money selling that right now than what they were doing previously. Like on a, you know, on a month-to-month basis, because everything was kind of trending down right now, you know?
So in reality, and Matt and I have been working on this, one of the things that we've always kind of recognized that we deliver to our customers is kind of this business level fundamental coaching, or idea brainstorming, or whatever you might want to call it. And if they're making more money in this time, whatever we're billing them is, you know, not appropriate, right? I mean, meaning not enough, because we've helped them in this hardest time. And I'm not saying that, I'm just saying, hey, we add a lot of value. So know that, like, we're committed to our customers. And anyway, that's a great story. I don't want to talk any more about it. Well, I want to keep talking about it, but we should move on.
No, it is cool. It gives me the warm fuzzies for sure. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Just remember, if you do like this podcast, and we may say this at the end, please remember to shiko us or shikow us.
Share, like, or follow.
And if you're on YouTube, like we said, please make sure you subscribe and follow, and make comments about Matt's green screen. Give him a hard time about technology that he has no control over, and he's working. I think you said the part was in already. You just got to get it into the computer or something.
Yeah, my Wi-Fi card was kind of shoddy, so I got to replace it. So yeah.
All right. All right. So let's jump into this article. You know, we read an article by Ron Lieback. We actually did our last 2 podcasts were on that. Go back and check it out. I think it's the 12 steps or 12 tips from someone who's been working at home for 12 plus years. And it was so good when I was kind of doing a little bit of research on Ron, and I think we've covered articles of his before.
We have, yeah.
Yeah, that we came up with, that I saw this one. I'm like, well, let's talk about this one. This is phenomenal, because we're constantly talking about storytelling in our podcast. We're constantly talking about, you know, how does a business distinguish itself? And then ultimately, we're constantly talking about sales. So here's the title: 3-step blog strategy that works: storytelling, USPs, and sales. So it just, like, when I saw that, I'm like, well, that's what we do. And that's like what we talk about a lot. So let's do that. And so again, patif to Ron Lieback. So if you talk to 10, he says, if you talk to 10 digital marketing agencies, you will get 10 different ideas about what is a good blog strategy. Unfortunately, many provide to their customers a cookie cutter strategy. And you can't create the same blogging plan for enterprise tire company as you would for a pest company that serves a 50-mile radius, or I don't know, who authors marketing cookbooks. Or an author marketing who's trying to sell cookbooks. You've got to focus with the end goals of each business. And he kind of gives an example of different businesses that would really have desperate blog strategies. And I thought, Matt, that you might be able to chime in, like what some examples of different types of businesses whose blog strategies would be extremely different.
Well, you know, not going into too much of, but how we build blog strategies is designed by when they come to us, where they're positioned in Google, what their digital assets are, what their unique selling proposition is, who's their target audience. And we have a number of clients that in Houston in the construction or remodeling arena. And we also have a few in roofing. And we get asked, well, how can you work with multiple clients in the same arena, right? And I'm sure there's a lot of digital marketers out there, and a lot of people go, hey, I don't want to work with you if you worked with somebody else. But I actually disagree with that. I think you do too, because the more you understand what that market is and that geography is and how Google reacts in there, you know better what you can do and what works. And really, each business is focused on something different and has a unique selling proposition, and we've been able to help layer that where there's enough room in the market of different levels of buyers and people wanting different things to divide that up. But also companies that maybe are e-commerce, like he said, though, he's like, there's 3 different strategies because there's 3 different business types, right? But, someone selling a book, the strategy is going to be similar, but it's also going to be based on keyword difficulty, how much search volume there is, how that, what they currently have, where that's currently laid out. So it really is not cookie cutter. It's customized, but there are overarching strategies, I believe, for each market segment, right? And I believe you want to go to somebody that understands the market segment, right, to help you. And we've just been blessed to work with all different types of companies. So we have a plethora of knowledge, and we've been able to use that knowledge to cross apply in different industries. And we don't bump up against, hey, you're working with, the business to my left, to my right. We've just had that instance one time, and it hasn't really been an issue because they're so solely different businesses. But yeah, anybody that even for social media marketing, the cookie cutter strategy is 3 posts on 3 different platforms or whatever people are offering out there. It's much different. It's got to be like a community manager, and it's a lot less scalable. And even SEO is a lot less scalable because it's a moving target. And that's why a lot of bigger marketing agencies don't like to do it, because they'll only do stuff that scales. Or even there's a company here in Houston that builds websites for certain segments, and they build a cookie cutter website for every client, and clients don't like that. You know what I mean? And it also has a diminishing point of return of effect. But everything has to be driven by strategy and be customized to what you currently have. But what you currently have is going to be different than what somebody else has, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I agree with that 100%. And what he does, and what this article is about, right, is this: although businesses are different, there's one kind of blog strategy that his agency develops. Is interesting because, like I said, this is something we've already been doing. We just haven't been calling it the storytelling USP sales strategy. It's just what we do very naturally. The process weaves together 3 tactics that run simultaneously. So one of them is, he calls it intentional storytelling SEO. Like I said, we're obviously SEO podcast. We're constantly talking about storytelling. Next is, and this is really about keyword optimized content based on user intent. The next tactic is understanding the unique selling points or proposition. He calls it points. Traditionally, it's called proposition. And then finally, sales blending, what he calls sales blending. So when businesses scales, and I thought this was important because that's what we're doing. We're constantly helping businesses scale. Wow, I'm a little tongue-tied today. Their products or services, along with core values, continuously evolve. This should be reflected in the direction of the blogs. We've got a program that we do. It's called our Digital Marketing Roadmap, which is a quarterly meeting that we have with our clients to really address that particular issue. That's something that really came up under your guidance. Matt, talk about a little bit about that Digital Marketing Roadmap.
Well, as we create content and we see how Google reacts, we make adjustments based on that. And, the strategy can't be stale or stagnant, right? And so we really look at campaigns on a quarterly basis and really, lean into a campaign to drive it. Sometimes month to month, you can't really build something out, right? And you want to build out like a content strategy or a structure, but you want to also have flexibility to kind of react to what is happening, or if Google updates are happening. So really on a quarterly basis, we look at what we've done, objectives that we've accomplished, milestones we've hit, and do we want to continue course or do we want to pivot? I have a number of clients that like to cycle through different products they work on to kind of strengthen that one, and then we'll focus on strengthening this one, or what have you, I guess. It just, again, everything depends on what you're trying to achieve, and then building it backwards of what those goals are to do that. And I can tell you, SEO is starting to, I think, to be called maybe some content marketing with some technical support behind it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that that's really how SEO is evolving, because it goes back to what are you solving for the user? And really it comes down to the buyer's journey of what are they going through? So that first component that we're talking about right now is, what is the story you're telling the market to capture their attention and their audience, to bring them through to you to kind of get to the next step in the buyer's journey or sales process.
Yeah, and it is that opportunity where we're sitting down with a client, whether it's a Zoom meeting or an in-person meeting or whatever, obviously Zoom meetings now. And if they've got evolving company culture or company core values, or if they've got different focuses on products, then that's our opportunity to become aware of that. Because, and we've had this, I've heard stories from the team, like, it turns out this company pivoted like halfway through this quarter and didn't really tell us that they're now focused on another product set or another service set or whatever. I'm really glad we had this roadmap, so that now we're on the same page and we're actually gonna now market what they've pivoted to internally.
It's an alignment process, right?
Yeah.
It's aligning what they're doing. We have been testing out putting people into client offices or with clients where they have like a dedicated person, because there's a lot of stuff that people need, and they're kind of eyes and ears to what's going on, so it's a more cohesive. Because a lot of times people forget that your multi-channel marketing needs to be tied together, and really you need to have someone driving that overall strategy. And that's why more and more people are coming to us, is to develop that strategy to make sure they're doing the right things. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, so step one in his kind of 3-step blog strategy is intentional storytelling SEO, right? So SEO combined with intentional storytelling is the base of any blogging strategy. I think that you could argue it's the base of any good blogging strategy. I'm not sure that it's the base of every blogging strategy that's out there. There are 3 main types of kind of searcher intent, right? So there's informational, there's navigational, and there's transactional. And so he's really going to address all 3 of those. But you got it, like, and we say this regularly, storytelling is so important. It does so many valuable things in the process. It's kind of why reviews and it's part of why reviews and testimonials are powerful. One, it's not just, it's a third party referrer, right? So that's a lot of value. But 2, when most of the time when people are submitting testimonials or doing testimonial videos, they're telling a story. Like, maybe I didn't think the product was going to work, and then, wow, I tried the product and I got it anyway and it worked. And now here are all these benefits I'm getting. That's a story, and those stories are really important, and you want to keep those in there. Obviously, we're talking SEO. Step 1, SEO. Hello, keywords. You want to be focused on keywords. Matt, you want to talk a little bit about kind of the keyword research process, as in-depth as it may be? Well, let me just first say, he talks and calls out specifically a Reddit search, a Quora search, typical social media channels like Facebook or Instagram, using tools like SEMrush. But you want to talk a little bit about, our kind of probably more complex than that strategy.
Well, I mean, our strategy, or my strategy that I teach the team, is a little bit more targeted to the Google algorithm and what they're trying to rank for. So we do use like Google Trends, and there's like I think it's called Ask the Public. It's this guy that's like walking back and forth. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He scares me, honestly. I don't like going to that website. But
you get the heebie-jeebies when you're asking the public.
Yeah, but so I would use like SEMrush or Uber Suggest or something like that. But finding high volume, low difficulty keywords that have commercial intent that they want to rank for, and then figuring out, okay, that's where I want to go ultimately. What story do I need to tell to wrap around that? And then also, am I going to provide any additional value outside of what someone's already written? To one, because Google's trying to basically index all knowledge that humans have, right? So that's going to hold more weight. But how does that fit into the overall, again, buyer's journey, right? So we're talking, I think, beyond SEO, of just general marketing strategy, and it plays itself out online.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, he one of the things that he says, and I kind of agree and don't agree with this: never simply analyze the spots on Google and simply attempt to write a better article. I think there can be value in that. Like, I think it's not just like, okay, write another cookie cutter article. If you're going to work on pillar content, if you're going to work on, hey, let's take these top 5 articles, blend what's valuable and interesting in those top 5 and turn that into one article. So I think the sentence makes sense, but I think it's certainly debatable.
Or take the opposite approach, right? Like Google likes to see some diversity, so you can take the opposite approach. I mean, again, it comes down to the better you understand how Google operates, you can better figure out what you should be doing. I think he's involved like just rewriting articles because that content's already been written, so you're not adding anything new to what users are searching for. So really where I think the strategy's going is focusing on longer tail keywords, and you're seeing searches getting more and more detailed in the general searches in Google. And it's like there's less competition for a more specific topic because everybody's written about general whatever.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. He does specifically say, make sure you're not just adding to the digital noise. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
All right. Number 2. So this is USP focused tactics. Products, you got to really figure out what about your services or products that truly stand out among the endless noises within an industry. And we talk about unique selling propositions. So when I'm giving a speech, one of the things that I do give that I think is very valuable to, say, business owners is, hey, let's talk about USP. Let's make sure you have a USP. You know, what is a USP, a unique selling proposition? And some people, in fact, a lot of people will actually raise their hand and say, oh, our USP is great customer service.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I think so. And he even says USP can't be simply 100% guaranteed, quickest delivery, cheapest prices, or great. And I added great customer service, because no one's marketing the opposite. Like, how can you, one of the ways that you know that your USP is or isn't good is if other people are marketing other, we'll call them parallel USPs. No one's saying, hey, we have the lowest guarantee in the industry. So you can't say, well, we have the best guarantee. No one's marketing saying we have the slowest delivery. So the quickest delivery is not really a unique selling proposition. No one's saying, come to us, we have the worst customer service. Like, best customer service is what everyone says.
I think it just comes down to you're building a brand, and what brand do you want to represent in the industry? How are you positioning yourself? And you need to tell that story in everything you do, but specifically like a USP, I'm kind of using it interchangeably as maybe like an irresistible offer or an extension of an irresistible offer. It's like, 100% money back guarantee. If you don't like the product, I do still think that works because it reduces risk, but it's been overused, right? So how are you different? How are you positioning yourself different in the industry? I'll give you an example. some of the construction companies we're working with is, hey, we're a design build firm, so you don't need to go hire an architect to get us to build your house because we'll help you do that for you, right?
Yep.
That's, I believe, a unique selling proposition
Yep.
because you're truly saving the client money. Now, when he works with architects, like he's got to figure out how to manage that. But if that's truly what he's doing, and it is, that's unique, because not everybody's like, you need an architect and I'll build whatever he says.
Yeah.
Right. But if they're like, you don't need an architect, you'll save all that money, we can help you do that. That's unique. So that's really kind of brand positioning, but that is unique. It's a unique selling. He's using it to sell proposition because it's saving them money. I think it meets the criteria maybe.
Yeah.
I think you take that an extension and say, couple that with the irresistible offer. So it, again, reduces those barriers to someone
that might be
testing
leaping
it out.
forward to the sales section.
Is that
irresistible offer?
I know
that may not be in there,
this article,
but it's certainly like a sales piece. One of the things, and you've heard me say this before, Matt, like you got to have a USP. You got to have a unique selling proposition. Price can never be your unique selling proposition, because
that's a race to the bottom.
Yeah, never compete on price, because there will always be somebody willing to go out of business faster than you, right? So don't do it. Find that uniqueness. That uniqueness can be as simple as family-owned business. Now, does that appeal to everyone? No. Does that appeal to some people? And is the uniqueness of that in some industries very appealing? 100%, right? So that's about defining your target market and knowing that unique selling proposition sings to that target market.
And you got to cater to that. Like if it's a family run business, show some more pictures of the family, or if it's veteran run and you're trying to sell to veterans, you need to build out that strategy a little bit more, because if you just say family owned, like that I don't think that's truly unique. I think that if your culture, your brand of how you do business is family owned, that whole component is going to appeal to more people. So you have to really, I think, even build out your USP. It just can't be a statement.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, never compete on price. All right, so step number 3 is the sales blending tactic. First, understand the idea that a sales funnel is dead. That kind of hurt me when I read this. I was like, ouch. He says Eric Kiles and Mike Lieberman, they exposed this concept, right? The concept of a cyclone in the book Smash the Funnel, the Cyclonic Buyer Journey. By the way, I have purchased that book already.
Yeah, I haven't read that. That's interesting. I think it's a new spin. It goes into, I guess, more steps than AIDA. Right?
Yeah. So know that there are 8 cyclones are present in this customer-centric model, and they revolve around customer service, marketing, and sales. So let me just list the 8, Matt, to see how these resonate with you. Pre-awareness, awareness, education, consideration, evaluation, rationalization, that's always a good one, decision-making, and ongoing delivery. The goal is to create content that educates the audience across those various cyclones. So I mentioned to you, like, this has a AIDA parallel, right? Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So in his example, he's writing, like, if you follow that strategy, he ends up writing 50% of content is written for newbies, 25% is written for intermediates, and 25% is written for experts. So quick example, like when he's talking about SEO, like when he's writing marketing blogs for his own SEO company, 50% of blogs are for those learning about content creation and SEO. 25% of those who understand content creation and SEO but are searching for reputable help, and then 25 for experts who are typically CMOs or SEO managers that are looking for immediate partners. That really is the parallel we've got to, that parallels what we have to do in this podcast, right? Because we've got to have content for everyone.
I learned something. I didn't have that ratio in my head, right? I had it more per topic, right? Maybe it's like 3 articles per topic, and one's intermediate, one's new, one's expert, right? Like,
Right.
but I do think that this breakdown is you want to build that foundation of people getting introduced to something, and then that next kind of tier, and then, 25 is fine. I kind of build mine like a pyramid.
Yeah. Well,
But
it's interesting that experience that you just have. Sometimes we're ending up in a sales process and they're like, well, why should we choose you? What's different about you? And one of the things that we share is we do this podcast. And what that podcast does is make sure we stay on top of all of these concepts, and we're constantly educating ourselves about the best techniques in SEO, because we have to educate ourselves in those techniques in order to deliver them through the podcast. So as
so
you're learning
Chris,
something, our customers are benefiting. We will
yeah,
continue to do the podcast.
yeah, no. I think that that's a really, really important point. Okay. And I think any small business owner or even medium-sized business owner, when people start a business, they work with like whatever they've learned or like the newest ways of doing things. So like when we're hiring programmers, right? When did they start learning? Like, are they just command line? Like are they comfortable with like cPanel or sticky interfaces? Like a lot of times people stick in time to where they are when they started doing whatever it is they're doing, and they haven't advanced because whatever they're doing is accomplishing whatever they need to accomplish. And we know with SEO, it's a moving target. And so you have to constantly be learning and evolving. And really what this is AIDA going more
Expanded.
granular,
Yep.
right? Expanded. And really the buying process, in my opinion, really hasn't changed all that much. People are still doing this. These are foundational marketing concepts that are being applied online, just like direct response copy or whatever. But again, I think we're constant learners, or at least I am, and I'm always trying to continue to learn to stay on top of what's going on. And I love doing that. And yeah, this gives us a way to do that. I think that that's what people need to be asking their companies is, hey, what are you doing to stay on top of the current trends? I want to make sure my marketing's cutting edge. Right?
And it's one of the things that comes out of our digital marketing roadmaps, right? Is like, hey, we've just learned this. We may have even applied it on a number of customers. We already had your program in place, so we want to execute on that expertly. And then we've got this digital marketing roadmap, which is like, hey, you've got this new technique, you've got this new process. We want to shift the blog strategy a little bit this way. Those are things that also come out of those digital marketing roadmaps.
I mean, I'm a better marketer every month.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm a better marketer every month because I'm constantly looking at what's going on with data. I'm reading, I'm building my skill set. Like, there's not a lot of people out there that know everything. Right. Yeah. There's certainly people that know more than me, and I'm learning from those people, and I'm striving to learn more. But I certainly have learned quite a bit more than I did the day before. And when I think some of the challenge too is when we're talking with people speaking to where they're at, right? Yeah. And like we just onboarded a client recently, and we usually kind of set up a call and kind of walk them through, and we're actually kind of getting busier now. And someone that normally does onboarding sent the onboarding documents of the step-by-step pictures of how to walk through, and didn't hold their hand. And they came back and goes, hey, y'all are the experts. Help me log into my WordPress account, right? Like, how do I, you know what I mean? Like, how do I get into my Facebook? Like, so you got to remember that people are at different levels of what they're doing.
Excellent. So let's kind of dig into the summary, his conclusion points here. Blogs are the main pillar for a successful digital campaign. I think we'll both co-sign on that. Remember that cookie cutter blog strategies are BS. I think I would sign up on that. Every client has a unique audience and unique services or products. Two direct competitors, and you touched on this very early in the podcast, two direct competitors require different content strategies regarding their positioning within the market. I think that's very true. Regardless of the situation, the three blended blog strategies will work. And it's interesting, we've just been kind of doing those naturally, haven't kind of called them that. And then maybe the most important sentence in this: test, evaluate, remain the course, or pivot, whether that pivot is huge or small. Test, and it's probably the two most important words: test and evaluate. Like that's like, you know, if you were like, how do you run a successful internet marketing campaign? You test and you evaluate. Like the rest is like whatever you're doing, but those are key.
Well, I think that here's something that I think for all the digital marketers out there that are listening: you are undercharging for your services, okay?
Yep.
Because this is so complex, this is so difficult, and yet it's so valuable. And, you know, like people are like, well, I want to pay to set up this Facebook campaign, right? So you set up the Facebook campaign, it grabs all the demand, pulls it forward, it works great, and then it dies down. And then clients like, hey, what's going on? And it's like, you got to continuously, either the market's got to be big enough that it will continue to work, like the funnel or whatever you want to call it, marketing will continue to work.
Cyclone.
But a lot of times people are focused in a geographic area. And so that's got to be a constantly evolving process. And it's nothing's evergreen. You know what I mean? Like, look what happened with COVID, right? It's like, now we're in a new world. Like, what was working before, people's buying behaviors changed. You got to pivot with it, right? And so you got to adapt. And we were talking about that testimonial of how these companies, these smart business owners that we work with, I think we work with probably the most well-read business owners, right? I believe like their marketing is so much different because depending on where a client comes from, a referral source, or someone finds us through SEO or maps or podcast listeners, oh my gosh, like their level of knowledge is so high, right? And that's where you need to be today to run a successful business. And you got to look at the value you're providing to the client based on whatever it is they're selling to understand what you're doing for them. And then, like, so I got to say, hey, like, I don't know what this campaign's going to do. I don't know how Google's going to react. Here's some case studies. Here's an idea of what I think. But until we throw it up, so I got a guy that's not even ranking for his name, right? And he's like, hey, I need a new website and I want to rank for my name. And I said, all right, we can build you a new website, no problem. Ranking for your name shouldn't be a problem, but it might take a little extra work because like this website has no domain authority. These other ones do. I think based on how we structure everything, you'll be, 4 or 5 or something like that, but I can't guarantee you first position out of the gate. We might have to pop it up a little bit, do a little bit of SEO. But again, I don't know until we test it, throw it out there, see what happens, and then we'll iterate on that. Same thing with ads. So, that constant management is I think so important,
Yeah. Test and evaluate. Absolutely, man. Patif to Ron Lieback, 3-step blog strategy that works: storytelling, USPs, and sales. And by the way, if you think about eWeb results transitioning to EWR, the results really that we're kind of focused on for our customers, and we're helping at a fundamental level. Think about the testimonial today. Really, we're like, how do we help you get more sales? Assuming you want sales, most business owners do. How do we help you get more sales? That's what we're trying to do.
So that is kind of what we're seeing too, that you were talking about the coaching. I'll kind of end on that. Is really SEO is about lead generation, right? Or demand generation, or harvesting the demand, and ads are about demand generation. But bottom line is, we're going to produce leads for you, right? And most companies stop at leads. Like we have one company that they weren't getting any internet leads. They're now getting internet leads, and their sales process is they text the lead from their phone and the email, call me. And so basically he's like, none of my leads are converting. And I'm like, well, what's your sales process? Well, I text them to call me, and I go, whoa. We're having to treat these clients differently than
the phrase is Never leave your success in someone else's hands. Call me. To text them and say, call me, is like they've already reached out to you. It's now you got to have the process. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying like that's something that we're now building into our process, because we're constantly evolving like what we're doing to continue to add more value to clients. But now, like, these are questions that I'm like, nah, man, that needs to be on the onboarding question, is tell me your sales process. And really, we're becoming, Chris, honestly, like, I mean, we're taking clients. Okay. We're opening the doors. We're taking clients. We've lost some business, right? But really what we were becoming, and I think we still are, is like a value add, like, agency, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, you're coming to us and going, help me improve my overall business, right? Give me the strategy, look at what I'm doing to improve it. And then, yeah, give me good execution and give me results for SEO, or PPC or web design, whatever it is. But I can tell you that, it's not in a vacuum, right?
Yeah.
Everything's connected. Like, it's about your overall, what you're doing as a company, and everything's got to like be interconnected. I think that's really so important. And that's what I'm seeing more of. And that's kind of why we're starting to kind of put people in people's offices to tie together that marketing component. Because sometimes the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. Like, last example, if you're going to run a TV ad or a radio ad, you need to coordinate that with maybe a landing page, a code on the website, a pop-up,
A remarketing
AdWords campaign, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
like,
Yeah, go ahead.
everything ties together, in my opinion.
Make sure you're all hands of your marketing strategy team, whatever, are shaking each other's hands. Yeah. All right. Hey, this is that wraps up our podcast. Again, Patif to Ron Lieback, great content once again. I'm assuming we won't cover another one in the next, although he's writing great content. So we'll find that out. Hopefully, you've got some value out of this podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and follow. Even if you're not watching on YouTube, if you're just listening, thank you for tuning in. And we ask you to do one small thing.
I'm going to ask for this thing, Chris. I'm going to ask for it.
You're going to ask?
I want to change the call to action.
All right. Okay? Change the call. All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. The call to action that I would like to ask everybody to do is, if you know somebody that needs help with digital marketing, connect us. Okay. Or if you need digital marketing, connect us. Or if you have a client that needs digital marketing and you're not figuring out how to you need to bring in the big guns to solve some technical issue or something like that, call us, because that is really what we do and we're good at. If you have the client and you need a little bit of help, we can assess things and get stuff done. And that actually has been where the majority of our referrals have come in lately. Is there's a certain issue that someone's stuck with technically on SEO or whatever, right? And they've reached out to us with a specific question. Can you help me with this? Or can this client wants all these kind of back-end plugins, this e-commerce solution, and I'm not comfortable doing that. Can you help me? So if you have a question for a client yourself, or you know somebody that has been complaining that their digital marketing company is not, you don't know what they're doing or they're not delivering value, I would ask you connect us, because right now, like everyone, they need the best digital marketing they can have. And we have capacity, and we've made changes, and we're developing some new things, but we have capacity too. So now, if you've been a listener, we would ask that we have excellent people and skills to deliver work, but we would ask you to refer somebody to us or connect us with us or give us a call, and let's at least have a conversation, because we're asking for your help. So
great. Also, if you could go to facebook.com/best SEO podcast and leave a review, and please make that review 5
stars. Oh, my voice cracked.
It's funny because I'm waiting for your timing, but I don't know how this ultimately works. So if it gets recorded the right way, I think that actually worked. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in. You guys have made us one of the most popular internet marketing podcasts on iTunes. We really do appreciate you. We really do hope that you and your family and all your loved ones are safe. We do hope that we can get back to work safely as soon as possible. This is not the condition that anybody wants to be in, and we do wish everyone the best, and take care of you and yours. Until the next podcast, my name is Chris Burris.
My name is Matt Bertram.
Bye for now.
now.